Hello, friends. Welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about a proverb that says greed steals today and mortgages tomorrow. To understand what this proverb means, let's break it down into two parts. First, let's talk about the word greed. Greed is an intense and selfish desire for more wealth, power, or possessions. It's that insatiable hunger for more that never seems to be enough. People driven by greed are often blinded by their own desires and will do just about anything to get what they want. Now let's look at the first part of the proverb. Greed steals today. This means that when someone is consumed by greed, they may engage in activities that deprive others of their rights or possessions. For example, a greedy employer might exploit their workers, paying them less than they deserve or denying them fair working conditions. A greedy friend might take advantage of your generosity, always asking for money or favors without ever offering anything in return. When greed takes hold of a person, it can turn them into someone who is selfish, dishonest, and willing to harm others to get what they want. In essence, greed can steal the happiness, security, and well-being of both oneself and others, all in the pursuit of material gain. Now let's move on to the second part of the proverb, mortgages tomorrow. This refers to the idea that when people make decisions today that are driven by greed or selfishness, those decisions often have negative consequences for the future. For example, an individual who invests in shady financial schemes or takes huge risks with other people's money might end up losing everything, leaving them with nothing in the future. Similarly, a nation that allows itself to be consumed by greed and corruption may face economic instability, social unrest, and environmental degradation, all of which can have a profound impact on the future generations. The phrase, mortgages tomorrow, serves as a reminder that our actions today have consequences that will be felt tomorrow. It encourages us to consider the long-term implications of our decisions and to avoid making choices that are driven by short-term greed or selfishness. The combination of these two parts, greed steals today and mortgages tomorrow, paints a bleak picture of the consequences of unchecked greed. It suggests that succumbing to greed not only harms ourselves and others in the present, but also jeopardizes our future and the well-being of future generations. There are many stories in literature and real life that illustrate the truth of this proverb. One such story is the tale of the ugly duckling. You see, once upon a time, there was an ugly duckling who was constantly mocked and ridiculed by the other animals on the farm. Despite the cruelty of the other animals, the duckling never lost hope. He believed that one day he would grow up to be a beautiful swan and soar above all of them. The duckling worked hard every day, eating healthy, exercising, and trying to be the best version of himself that he could be. But the other animals continued to mock him, telling him that he was wasting his time and that he would never be anything more than an ugly duckling. However, the duckling never gave up on his dream. And one day, much to the shock of the other animals, he transformed into a beautiful white swan and flew away, leaving all of them behind. This story teaches us that no matter how difficult things may seem, we should never lose hope. Just like the ugly duckling, we may face many obstacles and challenges in our lives, but if we stay true to ourselves and keep working hard, we can achieve our dreams. Additionally, the story also teaches us the importance of not judging others too quickly. The other animals on the farm judged the duckling based on his appearance and never gave him a chance. But if they had been more open-minded and accepting, they may have realized that he was more than just an ugly duckling. Ultimately, the story of the ugly duckling is a timeless tale of hope, perseverance, and the importance of not judging others. Let's move on to another story. A young man once asked his father, who was a wise and experienced man, how to become wealthy and successful in life. His father took him aside and told him a story about two birds that he had seen during his travels. The first bird, he said, would spend its days searching for food, gathering as much as it could find. Then it would quickly stash its food away in a secret hiding place so that nobody else could find it. The second bird, on the other hand, spent its days looking for the juiciest and ripest fruit to eat. It would savor each bite and never worried about saving its food for later, because it knew that there would always be more where that came from. The young man thought about this story for a moment and then asked his father, "So, which bird am I supposed to be like?" His father smiled and said, "Neither. You should be like the human being." The young man was confused, so his father explained that humans have the ability to learn from the mistakes of others, both the birds. Instead of mindlessly hoarding resources like the first bird, humans can use their intelligence and creativity to build wealth and create value. At the same time, humans don't need to waste their time and energy constantly worrying about scarcity like the second bird. By understanding the lessons from both birds and using our unique human abilities, we can achieve success and fulfillment in life. As we can see in both these stories, greed can have serious consequences not only for ourselves, but also for those around us. It's important to remember that while it's natural to want more than what we have, it shouldn't come at the expense of our values, relationships, or future well-being. Friends, greed is a powerful force that can corrupt even the best of intentions. It can cause us to make decisions that we later regret and can lead us down a path of selfishness and destruction. That is why it's important to be aware of the dangers of greed and to cultivate habits that promote contentment, generosity, and a sense of community. By doing so, we can create a better world for ourselves and future generations. You know, in today's fast-paced and highly competitive world, it can be easy to get caught up in the pursuit of material wealth and success. We're constantly bombarded with messages from the media and society that tell us that more is always better. However, this mindset of endless accumulation and greed can lead to a number of negative outcomes for individuals, communities, and even entire nations. On an individual level, greed can lead to a host of psychological and emotional problems. When we're constantly focused on acquiring more material possessions, we may become less grateful for what we already have. We may also become obsessed with money and status, which can lead to anxiety, depression, and a sense of emptiness. Moreover, greed can cause us to engage in unethical or even criminal activities in order to get ahead. For example, some people may resort to stealing, cheating, or exploiting others in order to get what they want. Such behavior not only harms the victims, but also damages the perpetrator's sense of integrity and self-respect. At a societal level, greed can lead to inequality, poverty, and social unrest. When individuals or corporations are driven by greed, they may take advantage of others in order to get ahead. This can result in a small group of people accumulating vast amounts of wealth while the majority live in poverty. Moreover, greed can lead to environmental degradation and the depletion of natural resources. When we're driven by a relentless desire for more, we may be less likely to take care of the environment and more likely to engage in unsustainable practices. Therefore, it's essential to cultivate habits that promote contentment, gratitude, and generosity. Practicing mindfulness and meditation can help us focus on the present moment and appreciate what we have rather than always wanting more. Cultivating a sense of community and helping those in need can remind us that our happiness and well-being are interconnected with those around us. By adopting these habits, we can create a virtuous cycle of contentment, generosity, and well-being for ourselves and future generations. We should remember that true happiness and fulfillment come not from the accumulation of material possessions, but from our relationships, experiences, and sense of purpose. Don't let the desire for more consume you and ruin what you already have. Greed may seem like a harmless desire for more, but it can lead to a lifetime of misery. Don't let this be your story. Be aware of the signs of greed in yourself and take steps to cultivate contentment, gratitude, and generosity instead. Remember, true happiness doesn't come from what you have, but from who you are and what you do with what you have. So friends, don't let greed steal your present and mortgage your future. Instead, strive for a life of balance, purpose, and fulfillment. Thank you for listening to me. If you liked this proverb, then hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel.